Recognizes the gentleman from California.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm delighted by the last discussion, and I hope that whatever eloquency I might have would be useful in this regard, because we are now debating some of the most important and profound issues that will ever come before this Congress, as it has in the past Congresses and in the future Congresses, and that is the role of nuclear weapons in our lives. Gentlemen and ladies, we're involved in a new nuclear arms race, and this one is extremely expensive, but much more important, it is extremely dangerous, because this arms race is designed to provide weapons, delivery systems that are not observable, and observation systems that are totally unreliable in a conflict, basically the satellite systems. And so this amendment deals with one part of the triad. That is the ground-based missiles, some 400 or so that are in silos in the northern Midwest. Those are the Minuteman III missiles. They are armed, they are ready, and the President, should there be an incident that would cause him to make a decision about launching those missiles, he has something less than 15 minutes, probably less than 12 minutes, to make a decision to literally end life on this planet as we know. Those are the use it or lose it missiles, the Minuteman III. We have a proposal underway, a no-bid contract worth about $125 billion over the next decade or so, to replace the current Minuteman III missiles and quite possibly the nuclear weapons that are on those missiles. We don't need to do that now. The Minuteman III missiles are viable for the next decade, almost the next 2 decades, if they are maintained. The Air Force made a decision some years ago, about 7 years ago, to decide not to maintain them, but rather to build a new missile system that was then called the GBSD, Ground-Based Secure System. It's now called the Sentinel, at a cost of about $125 billion in the next decade. This amendment simply pauses the development of that missile system, calls for the refurbishment and maintenance of the current Minuteman III missiles for the next decade, and at that time, a decision to be made by this Congress and future Congresses about what to do. It's simple. We've had a lot of talk in the last hour or two about unfunded priorities, or we ought to fund this, we ought to fund that. I would suggest to you that we probably have somewhere in the range of $12 to $20 billion in the next couple of years and $120 billion in the next decade that we could easily spend on unfunded priorities or funded priorities. And so I would ask, with that, I will pause, as I would hope the ICBM would pause, and I reserve my time.
The gentleman reserves. For what purpose does the gentleman from Alabama rise?
I rise in opposition.